And now let's move to our focus for today on Election Countdown Nigeria. The provision contained the guidelines for the registration of a political party in the 2014, I beg your pardon, states that the manifesto of a political party, upon submission to the Independent National Electoral Commission for registration, must contain a provision showing that its constitution and manifesto conform with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended, the Electoral Act 2010 also, and the guidelines. We've seen manifestos plagiarized. We've seen and heard similar speeches shared from one candidate to another. We've even seen some candidates accused of stealing the manifesto of candidates from a different country. Of course, if you remember, the former president's manifesto that was accused of being copied from an American president. Are Nigerians tired of hearing repeated manifestos or campaign promises which often contain the following? I'll show a couple of them on your screen this morning. It says there's "Stone us if we fail after 2 years," and that is from Momo. If you remember also, someone mentioned that they can fix electricity in 6 months, and any serious government will be able to sort electricity challenges out in 6 months. You remember this one even as far back as 1986. And this is former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan saying, "I assure you of fresh air in Nigeria. Vote for me." There's also as far back as 1986. It says there, "NEPA, no more blackout." And that was the deadline given. Funny enough, it's pretty odd. I think it was the same person who's currently in office that was in office in 1986 when these statements were made. And so these statements continue to be made. These promises continue to be made. Even in 2023, there is more and more of these campaign promises that seem to have little or no substance among the electorate. But are Nigerians and Africans still being moved by electoral promises or by the political parties' manifesto heading up to the elections? Also, how many of these politicians really even know what's in their manifesto? If you ask them clearly, can they explain every detail of what is in their party's manifesto? Well, we're speaking this morning with political affairs analyst Ezekiel Nyaetok. Good morning and thank you for joining us, sir. Good to see you.
Good morning and thanks for having me. First, happy Valentine's Day to my
Same
lovely
to you,
wife, only 34 years, my lovely daughter, and of course, the rest of Nigeria. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
And same to you, sir. Let's get into it. The whole conversation on manifestos and campaign promises. So first of all, let's help clarify the difference between these two statements. What is a manifesto, and then what are campaign promises?
Okay, I'll tell you something that we all need to know. They are actually supposed to be one manifesto by a party.
All right, we seem to have briefly lost the connection with Ezekiel Nyaetok there. But of course, the question is there any difference between both? All right, Mr. Nyaetok, kindly go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. And once again, we're having slight connection challenges. Are campaign promises, the statements that are made by politicians when they stand on podiums and stages and speak with thousands of people in the build-up to any election, are they the same thing with the campaign or the party's manifesto? Mr. Nyaetok, of course, in his opening statements was saying that they should be one and the same. One of the things that I asked earlier was, how many of these politicians really even know what's in their manifesto and their party's manifesto? A lot of them really are written by experts. Mr. Nyaetok, kindly go ahead.
Yes, there's actually really supposed to be one manifesto of the party, and then every contestant or candidate of the party ought to have been conversant with the manifesto of the party, and then comes with his own managerial dynamics or peculiarities on how to advance the manifesto of the party. The manifesto of a party is supposed to be a general roadmap that takes us to, maybe it should not be anything less than 30, if not 50 years roadmap. But what you discover that absolutely never applies. You have individual manifestos. I'm in Akwa Ibom State. And we've had the same party, PDP, govern us over these dispensations. Now, the roadmap that was undertaken by architect Obon Victor Atta, I cannot say is consistent with what my brother Akpabio did, nor can I say has any relationship with what my brother Odom Emmanuel has done, and that is within a state. How about Rivers State government and Akwa Ibom State government and all the states that are under PDP? What has been the roadmap of the PDP over the 16 years they were in office? Was there any consistency? Was there any continuity? So your manifesto is supposed to show your political alignment or lineage, where in the United States, you can talk of those who are conservatives and those who are liberal or Democrats. You can tell by discussing with a person, you can actually tell which philosophy the person leans on, whether it's more of welfarism or that of capitalist. And then there's been the mid-range, the blur between the welfare state, which is the essence of government, and the capitalist state, which is supposed to be the private sector driven. But you have what you call the PPP, and so that is kind of political ideology, and your manifestos kind of align to your political ideology. But now there is no national ideology between parties. Even within states, there is no manifesto, there is no ideology. Now, let's come to the individuals. I'm contesting for the governorship of Akwa Ibom State. And, somewhere along the line, a group of my friends who set up a team sent a very, very, very amiable, lovely lady to me to sit down and, kind of craft out my manifesto. And lovely, wonderful. By the time it was brought back, wow, I read it, I was shaking my head, I was marveling, I was like, wonderful.
All right, Mr. Ayatok, at the end of the day, Mr. Ayatok, yeah, apologies, we're gonna take a very, very short break, and of course, we'll continue with this. When we come back, I would like us to get into, aside Akwa Ibom, I would like us to get into the electorate being able to tell when they are being lied to, during, the campaign, and of course, maybe also looking through, the individual manifestos of these parties. But we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us this morning on Election Countdown Nigeria.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
It is 10 days to the presidential elections here in Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation. And we're, of course, still speaking with the public affairs analyst Ezekiel Nyayatok. But before we get back to him, let's also get insights into what manifestos mean for each political party and, of course, for politicians. Our man, popularly called Professor Femi Adefisoye, went into the streets of Lagos and got responses from a few members of society on what they think about manifestos. Take a look.
Although I would say partially I believed, partially I don't. You know why? Election manifesto, they are not telling you that this is fact. They are just telling you, like, it's a prediction of what they will do. So it's for you to work better on it. If you believe on it and you say, oh, it will work, and you didn't come outside to vote, how do you expect it to work? I don't know, maybe you get my point. So we have to come outside to put our vote to make that manifest come to pass. If not, it's not going to work.
All those words wished by the politician, all things is with God. Some people will promise, they will not fulfill their promise. All good is well, they will fulfill their promise.
Yeah, this is a normal thing. This is a politician character. This is what they normally say every time they want to stand. But I'm believing that maybe Obi will come and do something better, different this time around.
Everybody say there are different opinions, but with what they do, I think I believe one candidate that I believe can do it, because it's not everybody say the same thing. They build schools, they build this. Yes, we know that they can do it, but can they do it? In fact, for me, I don't believe these people can do this, because even if they want to do it, the person that will do it, I don't think they will allow that person to enter. But we are praying that person should enter, because all of them, they're almost the same thing.
Yes, I believe in that, but the thing is that it's an individual thing. So as an individual and a citizen of Nigeria, you should be able to vote right. So that is my own opinion.
And exactly what Nigerians think, or some Nigerians think, about campaign promises and the manifestos across, of course, the electoral space. But there are important questions, that should be asked. And one thing I would always wonder is, do Nigerians know, or do Africans know when they're being lied to? When you see a politician on stage saying certain things about electricity, about corruption, and some of all of that, do we already know that these are all just lies and things that you say? But let's hope that you at least you make some effort. And then also, and this is an important point, so President Muhammadu Buhari says that he has fulfilled all his campaign promises to Nigerians that he made in 2015. He said he promised to improve security, promised to strengthen the economy and fight corruption. So now the question is, the other things that are being quoted along with President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria about 5,000 naira for unemployed Nigerians, about reducing the strength of the Nigerian presidential fleet, about reducing the value of the currency from equating 1 naira to $1 and some of all of that. Can he be quoted as saying those things, or are those just part of the things that were said in the build-up to his campaign? The things that he really promised, are they beyond security, corruption, security and corruption, basically, and of course the economy? Mr. Ayatok, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get on. Let's quickly have you speak, as quickly as possible because of time, on why you think, or do you think that the electorate truly believe when they hear these campaign statements and these promises?
Yeah, why I was going on that journey is that you need to contextualize things and know that there is, like what I was giving the story of myself, by the time this whole thing came, I saw a well-written document, but I didn't see myself in it. That's the very important thing. Now, most candidates just want something to throw it out there to you and not what they have in mind to do. So they just send it to you. They don't even know what their manifesto says. So I had to keep what they call manifesto and go into what I call my pledge, or my, basically my pledge to the people, So that becomes the 1, 2, 3 things I am saying, and you can hold me to. So right now, you need to ask yourself, what is Atiku saying? What is Asiwaju saying? What is Peter Obi saying? What is Kwankwaso saying? What is Dumebika Chiku saying? What is the SDP Adewale saying? When you say the 1, 2, 3 things they are saying, you now go back to their past, their character, their person. If you want to profile somebody to take over your office, you've got to do the work.
Yeah.
You've got to do the work. Nigerians have to go back and interrogate the person, because what you are saying might be diametrically opposed to the person who.
So would you then agree that President Muhammadu Buhari has fulfilled his campaign promises according to him? Because he says that his campaign promises to Nigerians were on security, economy, and corruption.
No, there are two things about the president and his campaign promises. The very first thing is that, where did he say what? Which is what we should lay emphasis on. A lot of things are being said by your governor, by their media aides. They will do this, he's saying this. No, these people are not engaging with you. I personally send out a 10 minutes video every day, countdown from February 1. Every day a 10 minutes video, so you can record what I've said, you can keep what I've said, you can hold me to what I've said. Today, what has Asiwaju said?
Great.
Because you go back, can you have a clip where Buhari said, I'll make $1 to $1? Can anybody show it? But he
I mean,
did say.
but the interesting thing is, both the ones that, can be quoted or that, he allegedly or didn't say, a lot of people would argue that none of them have even been met. The ones that, he said and the ones he didn't say, the ones that were said by his public affairs analyst and by the people along his campaign.
Say? Okay, he said.
Yeah, but would you say that he has achieved any of them, regardless of who said it?
Let me try to hope that I can say that he said he would fight corruption.
Yes.
Now, has he fought corruption? He said he has done it to the best of his ability. Only God knows the best of his ability, so you can't even contest that. Has he done it to the best of your expectation? Yes, you can say
Maybe
that.
not.
And
Yes.
he can't say that he's doing it to the best of your expectation. He said he's done it to the best of his ability. So you honestly cannot fault what he said. Whether he's being smart by half, I don't know. But the fact is that he said, I've fought corruption to the best of my ability. I've worked on the economy to the best of my ability. I have, what's the third one now?
Insecurity. And the economy. Yes.
The economy. I've done the economy to the best of my ability. And the man is being smart. He's being laconic. His use of words is what you honestly cannot fault because you're not God. Because Absolutely. You're not going to judge his ability. But people should not be judged to the best of their ability. They should be judged against a certain benchmark. You can't go to exam and say, I've written the best I could write. No. Have you answered the question? Is the question.
Yeah.
And I think that if I'm to judge based on the best of his ability, I would say he's done what he could do. But if I'm to judge according to what should be best practice in terms of the deliverables in those three areas, I do not think that I will score him more than 30% on any of the counts. Okay. The only thing is that if he gives me, there can be a political solution here. If he gives me free, fair, credible elections, I will cover a multitude of his inadequacies with just one exercise. Free, fair, credible election.
All right, Messiah Talk. Now we're talking about what they said and what they didn't say. But there's also situations where manifestos can be hidden. And people would say that they don't want anyone to steal their ideas. Now, a video has surfaced a month after presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, unfolded his comprehensive economic plan. He'd, of course, during the conversation, the presidential candidate said he wouldn't let the cat out of the bag or speak deeply about his manifesto. Now, let's quickly share that with you.
I'll tell you this about manifesto.
Private sector driven opportunity. Tackle the power problem head on. People can work by themselves. A common screwdriver can create a path to fortune if electricity is taken care of and other infrastructural areas. Carrying them along. And the change of mindset, I say, I will repeat that over and over again. Patriotic commitment, the conversion of negativity to a positive drive, and partnership with the private sector to create a job, to put an incentive there. If you hire 500 new employees, why can't I, as a government, give you some tax incentive to offset that payroll and the pension contribution that they may be associated with it? I don't want to sit here and reveal all my strategy. I am the first speaker among the three of us running. So they will spy on me. So you will have a limited answer here today. Another day you can bring me back.
Well, Mr. Ayatok, great to have you back. The APC presidential candidate says that the other candidates will spy on him, and he doesn't want to reveal, these his political strategies and the ways that he will move Nigeria forward. So we're going to have you respond to that after this very, very short break.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
And welcome back to Election Countdown Nigeria. We're still speaking with Mr. Ezekiel Ayatok. Now let's get you to respond to the claims by the APC's presidential candidate that he has secret strategies that he would not like to reveal so other candidates do not steal it.
It's a show of lack of confidence in himself and also missing out on an awesome opportunity. You know, there's a privilege in being the first to speak, and there's a disadvantage. The privilege is that anything you say, when others come to repeat it, they will say, oh, that is what Bola Tinubu has already said. They can even say they are copying Tinubu. So you had an opportunity to marshal out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that people will now use you as a benchmark, and you say, no, you don't want people to steal your idea. Let me even say something, my guy. There is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that original. So I think that him saying, no, I don't want them to copy is a lack of confidence in yourself. If you know you have this stuff, put it out there. And others will just be doing a poor copy of what you're doing. And I'm experiencing the same thing down here. But you see, I'm happy because everybody said, oh, that's what Ayatok said. Oh, that's what Ayatok said. So you shouldn't be afraid to let it out there so that he will be the original person that said it and not to be afraid that they will steal his manifestos. Yeah. And again, you know, something he said that I found instructive. He said, what is wrong with me giving an incentive to a company who is doing this and that? That is not a promise. A promise is, I will give incentives to a company that, for instance, is doing this and this and that. Now, that is a promise, and not what is wrong with me doing it. Yes. If he doesn't do it, he would say, I never said I would. I just said, what's wrong with it? He should have said, I will do this, and then he gives an example. Now, that is a commitment. That's something you can hold on to, you know. So what I have with the people, which I think that people should have, is a covenant on 1, 2, 3 things. And then, in fact, you know, I had a meeting with the lawyers in my state and said, look, I want to make a commitment in 1, 2, 3 specific areas. And I want it to be something that I should be impeached if I do not do it. I want it to be as justiciable. You know, we are still working on that, because this concept of immunity, we should be able to say, I want to do 1, 2, 3 things. If I do not, for instance, I want to put 500,000 in every village every month for 4 years. We have 2,226 villages in Akwa Ibom. It comes to about 1.1 billion. And people say, where does such money come from? And I tell the people that that's about half of my security vote. So I don't need any approval. I don't need anything. It's something I can do. So if I fail to do it, then it's a promise that I'm not. Such a promise, it should be justiciable. So I don't know if.
All right. Hopefully, of course, as the election season continues to expand, we would, get Nigerians to also be able to ask, more questions concerning the campaign promises and manifestos of their candidates. Now, let's move on to other things. The Director of Special Projects and New Media of Nigeria's ruling party, the ruling party's Presidential Campaign Council, has expressed remorse over a recent tweet where he alleged Nigeria's opposition party was perfecting plans with several senior officers of the nation's military to carry out a coup in the country. Femi Fani-Kayode, who was earlier invited by Nigeria's intelligence agency, the Department of State Services, says that his intention was to inform the authorities of what he suspected would adversely affect the nation through, or rather, even though he has realized his tweet sent wrong signals across the country. Now, let's quickly hear from him.
They were very, very thorough. They were very, very inquisitive, and they were very professional in their approach. It's very, very self-evident that some of the things that were said were regrettable. Why do I say so? And apparently, what I said really sent shockwaves in a number of places, really sent shockwaves. And some people were very hurt by that. And I think it's regrettable that that was the course that was taken. I'm always the first to admit when things are not done in the right way. But the most important thing, like I pointed out to them, was that the intention was very clear. The intention was to ensure that the authorities were on top of this situation and perhaps would now investigate Atiku and all the others to know if it's true or if it's not true.
And of course, that is Femi Fani-Kayode, former Minister of Aviation here in Nigeria. Mr. Ayan, to quickly respond to that, but mostly I think I want you to respond to the behavior of himself and a couple of others, in this whole campaign season.
Some of these people are being used by God and they don't know. You see, Femi Fani-Kayode is somebody that I know pretty well, and he's not as dumb as people would want him to be. He needed to do something. He needed to make a statement. He did it. And I think that it is a good thing that happened to Nigeria, because you see, with that, the conversation has come to the fore. And then if anybody was thinking anything untowardly, they will now say, maybe we know, be like, say, Femi, the guy has spilled the beans and he's good for us. So whatever it is, I see the hand of God in what's going on. And there are going to be more of such supposed goofs, because he needed to bring a certain thing out. Whether it was by mistake, whether it was intentional, whether it was deliberate, whether it was conscious, whatever you want to ascribe to it, he needed to make that statement. Somebody needed to make that statement, and at the highest possible place, and a man like him just fitted that. So he executed that. So I forgive him, and it's good he came and said, I'm sorry, but the fact is that it is out there. If you are thinking of anything like a coup, you can see the reaction of Nigerians, and I want to appeal to Nigerians. I know that the hardship that we are experiencing on account of this currency exchange is something that is just difficult to understand, but I want to appeal to Nigerians to please not give anybody, even if it was deliberate or conscious or intentional, let us defy and have election and use if anything, let's turn our anger into profiling the people and making sure that it is no longer politics as usual, but that we're able to vote for that person, that within the innermost recesses of our minds, we see that person as being the most competent, the most qualified amongst the pack. I think we should channel our anger, our frustrations to that.
Absolutely. Ezekiel Yannitok, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure speaking with you, and I always look forward to of course, joining you again on Breakfast Central.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations again.
All right.